Stop for a second and look around you. Everything was designed so that you don't have to struggle. Food arrives at your door with a click. Endless entertainment is in the palm of your hand, feeding your brain quick doses of pleasure you didn't even ask for. The modern system, the architect of this convenience, has stopped trying to control you through fear. He discovered something far more efficient. He controls you through comfort. What if your greatest prison wasn't made of high walls and armed guards, but of soft sheets and glowing screens? Comfort is the anesthetic of the soul. It is the security patch the system installs in you to ensure you never feel the discomfort necessary to awaken. We traded our freedom for convenience. We traded our purpose for distraction. And while you feel comfortable on your couch, the system is draining the only thing you truly possess, your capacity to fight for something real. Have you ever felt that strange emptiness after spending hours scrolling, seeing lives that aren't yours, and wanting things you don't need? That's not physical fatigue. It's your spiritual hardware calling for help. The architect designed this gilded cage with precise engineering. Every like, every short video, every notification is a micro-injection of dopamine that keeps your brain in a docile trance. A comfortable human being doesn't ask questions. A human being satisfied with cheap pleasures doesn't seek the truth. The system knows that if you are constantly distracted, you will never have the silence necessary to realize that the bars of your cell are made of algorithms. They convinced us that ease is the ultimate goal of life. But what they don't tell you is that the muscle of your consciousness atrophies in comfort. Awakening requires friction. It requires effort. It requires you to be willing to give up the security of your bubble to discover what lies beyond. And the question I ask you today is, would you rather be a satisfied slave or a free being in search of the truth? We have become addicted to paths of no resistance. We avoid silence because it forces us to hear the voice of our soul, which is screaming for growth. We avoid challenges because the system taught us that suffering is a processing error. But the truth is, nothing great was ever born in comfort. Your essence isn't something you find in comfort. It is what remains when comfort ends. It is your original light, and it only shines when your hardware is tested by the friction of reality. The architect wants you to stay in this deep sleep, wrapped in the blanket of mediocrity, consuming what he serves you on a silver platter. Because as long as you are comfortable, you are predictable. And as long as you are predictable, you are property of the simulation. The self-love you discovered in the last video now demands a step forward. Respect for your own strength. To love yourself is not just to accept yourself. It is to refuse to be anesthetized by a system that is afraid of your potential. It's time to leave the cage, even if the world outside feels cold. The architect realized he doesn't need iron bars when he has your couch, your air conditioning, and your fast food delivery. Comfort is the code the system uses to overwrite your intuition. When everything is easy, you stop questioning. Your mind enters a low-power mode where you merely react to the stimuli the system places in front of you. You have stopped being the master of your will to become a passive user of your own life. Comfort is not a reward for your work. It is the sedative that ensures you never level up. But for this comfort to work, the system needs one thing: constant noise. Why do you think that the moment the comfort stops, you run to grab your phone? Why does silence bother you so much? Silence is the only place where comfort cannot protect you from the truth. The architect uses digital noise to camouflage the emptiness of your comfort zone. As long as there is a screen glowing or music playing, you don't notice you are stagnant. Silence is the alarm that warns you your soul is atrophying. We flee from silence because we are afraid to discover that our comfort is, in fact, a slow way of dying through inertia. In the silence, the gilded cage loses its luster, and you finally see the bars. The system keeps you comfortable, so that you never have the courage to face the silence that reveals your own prison. Think of your potential as a muscle. What happens to a muscle that never meets resistance? It atrophies, it disappears. The modern system was designed to remove any and all friction from your existence. Want to know something? Google gives you the answer before you even think. Want to feel pleasure? Streaming gives you dopamine without you needing to. This absence of effort is a technical trap. The architect knows that human beings who do not face difficulties lose the capacity to fight. When life is too comfortable, your perception of reality diminishes. You become docile. You accept absurd rules. You accept a mediocre life, and you accept being just another gear. as long as your pillow remains soft. Comfort is the invisible wall that prevents you from seeing that you are a giant living in a dollhouse. We were programmed to seek ease, but it is precisely in this ease that our soul dies. The system keeps you at a lukewarm temperature so that you never notice you are being cooked alive by inertia. The greatest danger of comfort is not what it gives you, but what it takes away. It takes away your hunger for freedom. It takes away the fire of the quest. The architect doesn't want you to suffer to the point of rebellion, but he is terrified of you awakening. Therefore, his secret weapon is not pain, it's anesthesia. He keeps you comfortable so that you never feel the need to escape. Suffering makes you look for the exit. Comfort makes you forget there is a door. Leaving this cage is terrifying because the world outside has friction. It's cold out there. It requires effort. You might fail. And the system uses this fear to keep you in the nest. It convinced you that discomfort is an error, when in fact, discomfort is the signal that your hardware is finally being requested. To wake up means understanding that ease is a seductive lie. Awakening doesn't happen while you are being massaged by the distractions of the world. It happens when you decide to get off the couch, open the door of your comfort zone, and walk toward what challenges you. Because the only thing that grows in comfort is your prison. What the architect fears most is not your intelligence, but your indomitable will. The moment you choose discomfort, something extraordinary happens to your original hardware. You stop consuming reality and start creating it. The system is designed for passive beings, for spectators of their own lives. But when you decide to face the friction, you reclaim your authority. Think of the great works, the great discoveries, the moments when you felt most alive. None of them happened while you were comfortable. They happened in the sweat, in the doubt, in the effort that makes your circuits vibrate. Awakening is the realization that cheap pleasure is a bargaining chip for something much more valuable, your capacity to be dangerous to the system. A human being who cannot be seduced by comfort is a human being who cannot be controlled. You stop being a piece on the board and become the one who moves the pieces. Freedom is not the absence of weight, it is the strength to carry the weight you chose. To break this programming, you don't need an external revolution. You need daily internal sabotage. The system doesn't expect you to choose the stairs instead of the elevator. It doesn't expect you to choose the book instead of the screen, or silence instead of background music. Every time you do what is hard, not out of obligation, but by choice, you are sending a massive error signal to the matrix. You are saying, I am not a predictable algorithm. I am a free consciousness. Voluntary effort is the greatest glitch you can cause. It clears the cache of laziness and recalibrates your hardware to higher frequencies. Comfort keeps you in standby mode. Challenge puts you in full execution mode. Do not seek ease. Seek the capacity to deal with what is difficult. It is in the fire of effort that the dross of the simulation is burned away, revealing the gold of your essence. Awakening is not a destination of rest. It is the beginning of a master's true journey. Look at your hands. They weren't made just to hold a remote control or scroll through a screen. They were made to build, to fight, to embrace, and to transform. The architect wants you to forget the power that resides in your touch and your action. He wants you to remain in your gilded cage, dreaming of a freedom he sold you. But the door was never locked. It was only hidden under piles of convenience and layers of entertainment. The cold outside that the system taught you to fear is, in fact, the fresh air of reality. The pain of effort that they taught you to avoid is the signal that you are growing beyond the edges of your avatar. Get off the couch, turn off the noise, face the void until it becomes your blank canvas. The simulation ends where your courage begins. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to your own will. If you felt the call to take back control of your hardware and leave the anesthesia, leave a like. This small gesture of conscious attention is already a break in the pattern. And now, our seal of commitment. Write in the comments, I am not an algorithm. Let the system know that there is a consciousness here that can no longer be bought by comfort. Share this video with someone you know has giant potential but is being suffocated by the ease of modern life. Let's wake up together. Thank you for trusting Wake. In the next awakening, we will dive into the algorithm of destiny and understand how they try to protect